for you, who here runs a business? Runs a business, right? Okay, so sales is an important part of a business, right? And it's very important, I think, when you run a business, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in sales, right? Even if you just want to be good at what you do, it's very important for you to be in a state of mind where you're constantly either fired up or you're ready to go. Isn't that right? Isn't it right? Yeah? And it's very, very important, and I think, you know, when I lose my fire, when I lose the readiness, I actually, if you guys lived with me, you know, you'd see this, ask Rianne, right? But I go through these exercises to keep myself in a mental state where I'm constantly like, ready to go. Does that make sense? Massively, massively important, right? So, with that in mind, let me tell you guys my story, because I know the clients know my story. For those of you that don't know me, and I only want to go through this, you guys haven't come to listen to my story, but I only want to go through this so you understand the way I think, the way I do things, the way I run my business, the way I run my guys, right? So my story started back when I was 16, right? Anyone here play sport at a good level? Chris?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Nazia? Nazia was a professional boxer, right? Amateur?
Yeah, not professional.
Professional? Don't mess with Nazia. Anyone else play any kind of sport? No? No? So sport, for those of you that haven't played sport, being good at sport at a young age, it's very, very tough. You've got to be very disciplined, you've got to put a lot into it. When I was 16, I played GB level rugby league. So basically I played rugby league for the country, right? Which was pretty good. When I was 16, I had a scholarship to go to Cambridge. I was pretty smart, I got good grades, I did my GCSEs, I was ahead in my A-levels, I'd already started my A-levels, and I got a scholarship to go to Cambridge to play sport. I got a sports scholarship, right? And what happened was, when I was 16, so I was 2 years older than you, right? I was 2 years older than you. And what happened was my parents decided to break up. Ooh. Right? Boo-hoo, right? Sob story, right? My parents broke up. The sob story gets better because my mum gave me 10 grand. I know, right? My mum decided it was a good idea, never do this. Right? My mum decided it was a good idea to give a 16-year-old 10 grand in his bank account, and the deal was, okay, see you later, stay in education, you know, we're not talking anymore, right? And I had 10 grand. What do you think I did? 16, 10 grand, right? I played rugby, so I was a big guy, really confident. 10 grand in my bank, the most amount of money I've ever seen. What do I do? What would you guys do? What would you do, Halka?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Salesman, right? Salesman. What else? What would you guys, what would you do?
I would travel.
You travel? What would you do, Michelle?
I would travel.
You travel? That's what I did, right? Anyone been traveling here? Yeah? I went traveling, right? I took 10 grand and I went traveling for a year. I went everywhere in South America, I went to South Africa, I went to Australia, I went to India, I went everywhere, right? The way my parents found me, right? This is quite funny. The way my parents found me was because my dad got a phone call from the hospital in Australia because I fell off my surfboards, so they were calling him to pay the bill. Right? And at that point I got a call from my dad going, what are you doing? I was like, I'm traveling, it's all good. It wasn't good, right? So then I was broke, so I was nearly 17, I had to come back. I came back to the UK, I was in Manchester at the time. Anyone been to Manchester?
Yeah.
Anyone from Manchester? No? Thank God, right? No. So I went back to Manchester, and I was nearly 17. I had no money. What do?
Go work.
What did you do before that?
Study.
Study?
Cry.
How did you do that? Actually, I remember I pawned. Has anyone pawned anything ever? You know, when you sell something in a shop, I sold my PlayStation, that was a hard moment. About £24. Actually what I did was I called my mum, right? I called my mum and I was like, Mum, you know, I know I blew 10 grand, and I know that 10 grand was for me to stay in education. Do you want to give me more money? To which she went, what would you say?
Yeah, forget it.
Exactly, right? Yeah, forget it. Are you paying attention to this? Don't do this. So what happened was, I had to get a job. Actually what happened was my landlord called me and he went, Mike, if you don't pay your rent within 2 weeks, you're out. So I had to get a job, right? So you remember where you could apply for a job in the newspapers?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever applied for a job like that? Yeah? I applied for a job in the newspaper, right? Because I had no skills. I had no skills. I needed a job. And I remember there was a tiny ad in the newspaper. And it said, door to door, commission only, cash paid daily. I just read cash pay daily. I'm in. Whatever you guys are doing, I'm in. And I went in, and I remember I was 17, so if you can picture this, right, if you guys can do some visualization, I was about as big as I am now. I had a massive afro, which was like blonde. I had a green leather jacket. I had these jeans, right, and I had trainers which had holes in it because I'd been traveling. And I went for my interview. Do you think I got the job?
Yes.
Everybody gets the job. It's kind of slowly. You know? So I got the job, and they trained me in how to sell, how to pitch, how to do all this kind of jazz. And on my first day in commission-only door-to-door sales, right? Kid you not, I had a product which was like a stuffed toy pig. do you have any stuffed toys? Like a teddy?
My sister does.
No, do you? No? I'm joking. Right? But, so I had this, we were selling these stuffed toy pigs, door-to-door, right? You made like £3 per pig, right, in commission, right? My first day, because they looked at me and they were like, this is a loser. What's this guy going to do? He's got an afro, shoes have holes, what's he going to sell? So they sent me to a Jewish area. Exactly! To sell pigs! To sell stuff to pigs! And I remember they told me after because they thought it'd be funny. Yeah, tough crap. I was like, hey sir, how are you? You know, Hare Krishna or whatever, right? Here's a pig. Right? Tough crowd, right? And I made £300 cash my first day. Yeah, ooh, right? I didn't even know how it happened. When I demerged at the end of the day, they were like, here's £300. I was like, wow. So I paid my rent. I paid my rent in one day, right? I got really good at selling. I ended up making 2, 3, something in a week. I'd make $4 grand in a week if I was doing really well. And I did this for a period of time. And then what happened, you know sometimes in life you have a moment where someone smacks you around the head and just tells you, change what you're doing, right? This guy sat down with me and he said, you're really good at sales. How much do you sell? $4 grand, right? He said, let's say I could recruit all of you guys to go and sell some pigs. Yeah? Or sell makeup, or sell something. By this time I was selling makeup. Good product, right? And, yeah, makeup, crazy. I'd sell makeup to anyone. Anyway. And he said, if you could train other people to do this, would you make more money? Of course I would. Of course you would, right? So I got ridiculously good at trying to recruit, train, and develop people. And I did this for about 10 years, right? At the peak, we had people, has anyone heard of Talk Talk? Yeah. You guys heard of Talk Talk? We had Talk Talk with a client. You heard of the British Red Cross? Yeah, we had the British Red Cross, British Gas, EDF. We had the group of charities. We had 127 charities on our board. At the peak, we had about 1,000 guys working for us door to door, selling all sorts of stuff, right? Making some really, really good money, right? And I think the thing is that I learned, it was such a, has anyone been in a hardcore sales environment?
Yeah.
It's Lawrence, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What have you done, Lawrence?
I used to head up recruitment sales for Encyclopedia Britannica.
So you headed up the recruitment?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And sales.
Yeah, recruitment's hardcore. Anyone else done anything? Hauke?
I did the same thing.
Hauke was from my background. So if you guys don't believe him, talk to Hauke. Right, door to door. Anyone else done anything? What have you done, Michelle?
I used to flog makeup.
You flog, which makeup?
Really well-known brands in department stores.
Okay, good. Hardcore, right? And what happens is, in any industry, but especially sales, you reach a shelf life, right? I just reached my shelf life. I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I left, and when I left because I went back to Brazil. My ex-fiancée was still here, so I ended up coming back. I ended up networking like you guys do. And what happened was, I ended up meeting entrepreneurs, right? People that run a business, right? And they were all very good at what they do. So for example, Hannah, brilliant accountant. If you guys are looking for help with tax, talk to Hannah. Amazing, ridiculous, right? But here's the deal. A lot of them had a great product, great service. Guess what they couldn't do? The number one thing they couldn't do. What do you think?
Sell themselves.
Sell themselves, right? They just couldn't generate more clients. Is that fair? Is that fair? Do you guys think that's fair? No, right? Let me ask you guys a question. Does anybody here, just by a show of hands, does anybody know a company that's big, right? Big company, that's not particularly good at what they deliver? Anybody know one? Yeah? We all know one. We all know one, right? And but we all know one, right? If anyone says MJB, we're stepping aside. Right? But we all know one, right? And I think here's the thing. The reason I've seen, there's loads of reasons why small business owners don't succeed. There's tons of reasons. Hello. How are you? Good.
Fire it up!
Down the district line.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Fired up, very good. Good. But the point is, a lot of small, medium-sized businesses, right? If you think about this, guys, if you think about this, right? Great product, great service. They have good, decent marketing sometimes, good HR. If they can't close sales, if they can't close deals, then what happens to their business?
Down the toilet.
It goes down the toilet. There is no business. I'm not saying sales is the most fundamental thing that matters in life. I'm saying if you run a business, if you have cash, it makes your decision making much easier, right? And that cash comes from where? It comes from deals. Make sense? Yeah? So that was my environment. And when I started, I'll be honest, we've been going 3 years. When we started, it was just me. And I used to, anyone done cold calling here? Has anyone done cold calling? Yeah? What's your name? Blonde girl with glasses.
Christina.
Christina, what do you think of cold calling?
I love it.
You love it? Can we give Christina a clap? Christina, right? Most people hate it because they're not good at it. I love it, right? And what I did was I used to pick people on Gumtree, and if they were recruiting a salesperson, this was my pitch, right? I used to call them and be like, "Hey Max, look, I know you're recruiting for a sales director. I'm not interested in the position." So they're like, well, "Why are you calling me?" Right? So I've got them hooked straight up, a different style of hook, but I go, not interested in the position. What I am interested in is I'm interested in helping your company grow sales at a cheaper cost. Do you want to have a chat with me?
Sure.
Everybody met me. And then when I met them, they were like, what packages and products do you have? And I would look at them like, what do you mean? Packages? Products? I was like, just pay me a retainer monthly and I'll help you. That's actually what and people signed up. I made 80 grand in my first year doing that. Crazy. I was like, wow, this is easy. Then I realized it's harder to run a business, right? Because what I was doing was, I was self-employed. Big difference. Does that make sense? What I was doing was I was selling my time in exchange for money. So if anybody's doing that, fix that, right? But that's what I was doing, which was wrong. Anyway, cut very long story short. In the last 3 years, we've worked with about 200 companies. We've helped most of them double or triple their sales. The thing is, what we do is we focus on sort of 4 key systems, which we're going to run through with you guys today, right? But before I go through that, I just want to tell you, just so you guys understand the power of what we're actually going to teach you. So ask questions. You know, ask loads of questions, take notes, talk to our clients, talk to our MJB guys, right? But just 2 stories, just so you guys understand what we do. So